dancing together, dancing together in thy love. Mother, awake me from my dreams. Mother, awake me in thy love. Hand in hand we're dancing together, dancing together in thy love. Hand in hand we're dancing together, dancing together in thy love, dancing together in thy love. When I awake, I'll see thy
Good evening. Namaste, everybody. Jai Guru to all. Let us begin today's class on Patanjali's Yoga Sutras with a prayer. As we pray, let us straighten our spine. Let's take a deep breath. Let's center ourselves. Let us integrate ourselves so that we can offer ourselves at the feet of the Lord. With upraised gaze, with a calm smile in your heart and in your face and your eyes. Relax into yourself and let us pray unto God. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, friend, beloved God, Bhagwan Krishna, Jesus Christ, Mahavatar Babaji, Lehri Mahashaya, Swami Shri Yukteswar Ji, beloved Gurudev Paramhansa Yogananda Ji, saints and sages of all religions, humbly we bow and touch thy feet. Humbly we bow also at the feet of the sages Ved Vyas, Patanjali and Adi Shankaracharya in gratitude for their exposition on the Yoga Sutras. Dear Heavenly Father, whatever conditions confront me, I know that they represent the next step in my unfoldment. I will welcome all tests because I know that within me is the intelligence to understand and the power to overcome. Let us invoke the presence of the Gurus by singing the hymn to Brahma. sing a simple chant. I will sing thy name, I will drink thy name, and get all drunk with thy name. I will sing thy name, I will drink thy name, and get all drunk with thy name. Om Krishna, 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 Om Krishna. I will sing thy name, I will drink thy name, and get all drunk with thy name. I will sing thy name, I will drink thy name, and get all drunk with thy name. Om Guru, Om Guru, Om Guru, Om Guru, Om Guru, I will sing thy name, I will drink thy name, and get all drunk with thy name. I will sing thy name, I will drink thy name, and get all drunk with thy name. Shri Krishna, Shri Krishna, Shri Krishna, Om. 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 I will sing thy name, I will drink thy name, and get all drunk with thy name. I will sing thy name, I will drink thy name, and get all drunk with thy name. I will dance through life, I will dance through hearts, and sing thy name, and sing thy name. I will sing thy name, I will drink thy name, and get all drunk with thy name. I will sing thy name, I will drink thy name, and get all drunk with thy name. Om Guru, Om Guru, Om Let us take a moment in silence. As we sit in silence and open our hearts and minds, let us hear a few words on the virtue of patience. Swamiji says, patience, it has been well said, is the shortest path to God. To attune the heart to the rhythms of eternity, one must first adjust himself to life's longer rhythms. He should not allow his mind to become absorbed in concentration on the little ripples at the surface of the sea. Patience means also adjusting to whatever is in life rather than wishing it were something else. Patience is a prerequisite for every type of success. For it is when we work with things as they are that we can change them to whatever we might like them to be. Let us do the following affirmation with conviction, first loudly, then softly, then in a whisper mentally. Repeat after me. I am neither the ripples at the surface of the sea, nor yet the crashing waves. I am the vast ocean deeps, unaffected by mighty surface storms, untouched by any superficial change. I am neither the ripples at the surface of the sea, nor the crashing waves. I am the vast ocean deeps, unaffected by mighty surface storms, untouched by any superficial change. I am neither the ripples at the surface of the sea, nor the crashing waves. I am the vast ocean deeps, unaffected by mighty surface storms, untouched by any superficial change. Mentally follow this prayer. Long have I called thee, Lord, but thou hast not answered me. Ah, but for how long canst not thou endure my fickleness? In this life, Lord, and if need be through eternity, I will keep calling thee. With that thought, let us move on to a story that I remember from the autobiography of a yogi. And in this is a story about three holy men who lived on a small island. And they were very simple, illiterate people, not very knowledgeable in worldly affairs. But they were highly devoted to the Lord, and they would make this simple prayer. He would say, "Thou art three, we are three, have mercy upon us." So thou art three, meaning God the Father, God the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And according to in Hinduism, it means Om Tat Sat. Or you can also think of the Trinity of Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesha. So they used to simply pray, "Thou art three, we are three, have mercy upon us." But when they would say these words, they would pour their heart into it. And so in that local area, a lot of miracles started to happen, and people started to come to these three men for blessings and for healing and so on. So on the mainland where the church existed, and there was a bishop, and so the news traveled fast, and the bishop came to know that these three men are praying, but they don't know how to pray. They don't know how to pray correctly. So he thought, okay, I am a minister in the church, and it is my duty to go and teach them how to pray. So the bishop, by boat, he traveled to that little island. He met those three men, and he said, "Okay, I'm the bishop, and I'm going to teach you how to pray." And those three men were so obliged, with so much humility. They bowed to the bishop and said, "Yes, we would really love how to pray, because we don't know anything." And so the bishop taught them, the proper protocol and the proper words they should be saying when they should pray. And they were very happy to learn the new prayer. And the bishop was very happy in himself that, you see, I've taught them how to pray. And with these thoughts, he left the island and he sat on his boat, and he was moving towards the mainland. So as the boat was on the water, when he looked back towards the island, he saw there was a light on the water, and the light was approaching the boat. And when the light became still just behind the boat, it manifested as if it was the three holy men that he had just taught how to pray. And the three men, they were pleading with the bishop, please stop, because we have forgotten what you had taught us. We don't remember the words of the prayer that you taught us." And the bishop smiled, and he understood, and he said, "Forget those words. You don't need that prayer. You just pray with your heart." And the wise men were happy, and they went back to the island. So this is what is the learning lesson for us from this story, that we needn't articulate intellectually some very, flowery words or some language from a book if we want to connect with God. The words can come directly in the language of our own heart, and the sincerity that is impregnated in them, and the love with which you offer them to the Lord knows already everything. But when with love you offer your needs, he's happy to fulfill them. He's happy to help you. But all he waits is that you lovingly ask for help. And that's what we should remember. And we should also remember that there is power in the human word and that we must use it wisely. And to kind of confirm this by Yogananda, you know what he said about the human word? He said, man's word is spirit in man. Words are sounds occasioned by the vibrations of thought. Thoughts are vibrations sent forth by the ego or by the soul. Every word that leaves your mouth ought to be potent with your genuine soul vibration. Words in most people are lifeless because they are automatically put forth into the ether without being impregnated with soul force. Too much talking, exaggeration, or falsehood used in connection with words is just like shooting bullets out of a toy gun without the gunpowder. That is why the prayer or words of such people do not produce any desired definite change in the order of things. Every word you utter, you must mean it. That is, every word you put forth must represent not only truth, but some of your realized soul force. And finally, he says, and this is so important for healing, says, words that are saturated with sincerity, conviction, faith, and intuition are just like highly explosive vibration bombs, which when let out are sure to explode the rocks of difficulties and create the change desired. So it is important that we pause and before we utter what we utter, we take a moment to understand it in ourselves and then speak out to another person. Similarly, we learned in the last class that whatever we are listening, we should be very careful as to what auditory data we are putting into our consciousness, because everything will form a kind of a vortex, a whirlpool, a wave, and it will get stored in our consciousness. And so it is, if we want to become master of our senses, then this is the first step, speech and hearing. So from today, as yogis, as aspiring yogis, let us be just alert and conscious of what we say and what we put into ourselves. So this brings us to the verses, the sutras of Patanjali. And just as a 2-minute revision, let us remember what he said. Let us also remind ourselves first of the 5 states of the human mind. That is the kshipta state, which means the restless mind, jumping from one thought to another. Then the second state is the mudha state, means the sad, the dull mind. The third is the vikshipta state, meaning a mind that is focused at some points in the day and restless the rest of the times. The fourth is the ekagra state, means fully concentrated mind. And the fifth is the niruddha state. And that is, the niruddha state is the state of the samadhi. And in Sutra 2, Patanjali says, yogas chitta vritti nirodha, means the neutralization of the vortices, of the whirlpools, and the modifications of the mind and feeling. When you neutralize them, when you still them, then that is yoga. That is the state in which you will realize your true self. And then he goes on in the next few sutras to explain the various kind of vrittis, which are of 5 types. One is right knowledge, second is wrong knowledge, third is verbal delusion, fourth is sleep, and fifth is memory. So these are the 5 types of modifications of our mind and how they can leave impressions which can deepen into our subconscious, and then how they can affect our life. This all we have studied in the past classes. And now we come to another very, very important sutra of this entire book. Like the second sutra, which says Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha, this is 12th sutra, and this is one of the most important sutras because it tells you how you will reach the state of Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha. And what is this sutra? This says, it says Abhyas Vairagya Abhyam Tanirodha. What does this mean? Abhyas, we all know, means practice. Vairagya, we know, dispassion. Abhyam means together. Tan, there. Nirodha means stop or control. So that means practice and dispassion will stop the modifications of the mind. The vrittis, Swamiji says, vrittis can be calmed by practice and non-attachment. So दो तरीके, दो मार्ग हमें इसमें सीधे बताए गए हैं कि यदि हमने योगस चित्त वृत्ति निरोध तक पहुंचना है तो हमें एक तो अभ्यास मार्ग है और एक वैराग्य मार्ग है. अब इसमें आगे भी वो एक्सप्लेन करेंगे कि इसका क्या मतलब है. Okay. So here we must remember what Guruji has told us. He has said that every thought pattern creates a groove in the brain. It's like a circuit created in the human brain. And every time that action is repeated, the same circuit is reinforced and the groove is kind of deepened. And so it gets deepened and deepened. And he even says so beautifully, it's like an election. In an election, you keep voting. Some are intelligent voters, some are unintelligent voters, but the number of votes will decide that who comes in power. So suppose you have decided to pick up a bad habit. Every time you repeat it, it's like you cast a vote in its favor. Then multiple repetitions will make it the majority and it will come to power without your conscious control. So the habit will become president in your brain, and then you, without reason, without understanding, without your conscious control, it will start to control you because now it has become the samskara, and it has become repetitive. So the question is, what do we do about it? Now that the habit pattern has been formed, a particular thought process has been grooved in the brain, what do we do about it? So simplest first way is, if a negative thought is troubling you again and again and again, so replace it with a positive thought. If a negative habit pattern is troubling you, replace it with a positive habit pattern. This has to be done very consciously. So for example, if you think that, okay, from tomorrow morning, I'm going to wake up at so-and-so time, and you're unable to do so. You keep trying in a sense, but every time the alarm rings in the morning, you're like, from tomorrow. So you're in the habit of procrastination. So instead of, the helpful technique here would be, suppose you get up at 7 a.m. and you want to get up at 5 a.m. So to trick your mind, what you need to simply do is, instead of just 5 a.m., you prepone the time by half an hour. So you slowly kind of pet and train your brain to shift gears. Don't expect that from reverse gear, it will suddenly come into forward fifth gear. You have to train it. You have to make your subconscious mind your own friend. And that is what practice would eventually do. When you befriend your subconscious mind, you train it to be in your interest, then slowly, you will find that over a period of time, you are able to get earlier than you used to. And that little success will give you more willingness and more focus, and that it will want you to do more. Similarly, in meditation, when somebody asked Anandamayi Ma that how do I increase my time of meditation, she did not say that, okay, meditate for 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the evening and things like that. No, she said, increase your time of meditation by 1 minute each day. So stretch just a little. This is like a trick that you are playing with your mind, but very smartly, intelligently, and also kindly. So there is no need to practice violence on your body and mind. Be kind to it, yet be firm. Let your body and mind know that you sincerely mean what you want to do. So that way you can kind of correct old habit patterns. And once you start voting for the good habit and the good thought, then it will come to power. It will naturally take over the opponent and it will become the most powerful thought in your mind. And here, as I was reading Swami Vivekananda, he pointed out a very good thing for practice. He said, never say any man is hopeless, because he only represents a character, which is a bundle of habits. These can be checked by new and better habits. Character is what repeated habits are, and repeated habits alone can reform our character. So let's not judge others because they have become victim of their old habit patterns. If someone has the habit of getting anxious, worried, irritable, angry, so realize that it is they are themselves suffering and caught up in that pattern, and it is not they who are bad, because they, like us, are also souls, and happy souls, or souls who in egos are trying to seek happiness. And we should remember today what our Param Gurudev Lahiri Mahashaya said. It is his birthday today, and it's a blessed day. So he said, Banat Banat Ban Jai. So you keep doing certain things again and again and again, and one day, behold, you find that you are free. So we must remember these. Now the question is, what should we practice? अब यहाँ अभ्यास की बात हुई है, तो एक तो हमने ये कह दिया कि हैबिट बदलनी है तो नेगेटिव की एक जगह पॉजिटिव, चाहे वर्ड है, चाहे एक्शन है, या थॉट प्रोसेस है, इसको चेंज करें. और क्या चीजें पतंजलि हमें कह रहे हैं कि हमें प्रैक्टिस करनी है? तो यहाँ हमारा मोटिव क्या है? हमारा एम है कि हम योग स्थिति में पहुंचे, हम समाधि स्थिति को पाए, और हमें सेल्फ रियलाइजेशन हो, गॉड रियलाइजेशन हो, और चित्त वृत्ति निरोध हो. ये हमारा एम है. और उसके लिए रास्ता क्या है? अभ्यास. तो अभ्यास किस चीज का करना है? तो हम वापस अपनी पुरानी टीचिंग्स पर जाते हैं, और सबसे पहले हम अभ्यास करेंगे यम और नियम का. what are the yamas and the niyamas, or the 10 commandments? So yamas are the don'ts. So non-greed, non-lying, non-stealing, non-sensuality, and non-violence. So we perfect ourselves. हमें लगता है कि ये हम प्रैक्टिस तो करते हैं, हम तो चोरी नहीं करते हैं, हम तो लालची नहीं हैं, but let us remember the deeper meanings of all of this. Non-greed, if you remember, whoever has studied the early phases of Raja Yoga knows that non-greed actually means non-attachment. And it is not just superficially wanting more for yourself. It is actually leaving all your attachments, and also therefore it is part of the second sutra. So what Patanjali is saying, leave all your attachments to the body, to the mind, and all the preoccupations and all the possessions of the body and mind. So we have to practice all these things. The other things that we need to practice on a daily basis is the yamas, means the do's of life. And what are the do's of life? Cleanliness, not just physical cleanliness, mental cleanliness, intellectual cleanliness, cleanliness of the heart, cleanliness of vibration. So we have to practice this, and this, the best way of starting to practice cleanliness, of course we do practice at some level, but to improve your cleanliness in your life is the best way. Satsang means being in the company of people who are seeking the truth, who are seeking God, who are talking about the truth. And something like this group, where we are discussing the truth, we are talking about the scriptures. Similarly, at other times in your day, you can listen to the commentaries on the various scriptures. You can listen to Guruji's voice. You can listen to Swamiji's voice, and so on. Then what do we practice? We practice the presence of God all the time. यदि हम अभ्यास करेंगे ये जानने का, ये समझने का, that God is the nearest of the near and the dearest of the dear, and he is always present within us, that he is us. If we start practicing this all the time, तो ये अभ्यास जो है ये हमें सीधा अपने गोल तक लेकर जाएगा. और इस अभ्यास को प्रैक्टिस करने के भी बहुत तरीके हैं. आप चैंटिंग कर सकते हो, आप जपा कर सकते हो, but Paramahansa Yogananda said that Kriya Yoga is one of the best ways to practice the presence of God. Why? Because when you practice Kriya Yoga, and the stillness that you achieve, the stillness of the breath and the stillness of the mind that you achieve after the practice of Kriya Yoga, it makes you directly in touch with that absolute stillness of divine. You start to feel the peace of God. Then nobody can question you in your heart, because you've already experienced the presence of God. That is why the master said that Kriya Yoga is the best way to practice the presence of God. So all those who are Kriya Yogis here, remember that when you're doing your Kriyas, and especially sitting in the stillness after Kriya Yoga practice, there you will know God in the best way. And if there's a prayer in your heart that you want to offer, Then Yogananda said that offering a prayer after doing your kriyas is 100 times more effective than doing a prayer when your mind is restless. So if you think you've been praying for something for a long time and God has not heard you yet, of course he has heard you, but you have not made the connection. So suppose आपका friend आपको call कर रहे हैं और आपकी तार कनेक्टेड ही नहीं है या आपका मोबाइल में बैटरी नहीं है, तो आप हेलो हेलो करते रहो, आपको लग रहा है कि आप बात करो लेकिन कोई बात तो पहुंच ही नहीं रही. सो गॉड द फ्रेंड के साथ जब तक लिंक कनेक्ट नहीं होगा, जब तक इंटरनेट का कनेक्शन नहीं होगा या वो वायर्ड फोन का वायर नहीं लगा होगा, तब तक आप जितना मर्जी चीखते चिल्लाते रहिए, वो उतना नहीं सुनाई देगा उनको. लेकिन when by the practice of a meditation technique you feel connected to that piece of the divine, then the connection is strong and immediately the prayer seed will be planted in the eternal consciousness and the result will be quickened. Okay, so this is the abhyas that is being talked about. In the next sutra, he goes on to explain it a little further. Now he says, just give me a moment. Okay, Sutra 13. Tatra sthitau yotra abhyasa. Tatra means there, sthit means situated, yatna means effort, abhyasa means practice. So what does this mean? The continuous effort to keep the vrittis perfectly restrained is practice. Swami Kriyananda says, the endeavor to develop even-mindedness is what constitutes spiritual practice. So this is the one and the same thing. So Swamiji has simplified it for us. So अभ्यास क्या है? या practice the presence of God अगर हम करेंगे तो naturally हम उस peace में या the joy of God में स्थित हो जाएंगे. स्थित हो जाएंगे तो जो मन की वृत्तियां हैं, यानी कि restlessness है, जो past impressions हैं, जो संस्कार हैं, वो धीरे धीरे blunt हो जाएंगे, धीरे धीरे still हो जाएंगे, और फिर जो हमारी practice है, firm practice will lead us to firm settlement in the state of yoga. एंड इसका सिंपल तरीका प्रैक्टिस करने का स्वामी जी ने बताया कि प्रैक्टिस इवन माइंडेड अंडर ऑल इवन माइंडेडनेस अंडर ऑल सिचुएशंस, एंड दैट्स ही सेड इज द फर्स्ट ड्यूटी ऑफ द योगी, टू बी इवन माइंडेड एंड cheerful अंडर एवरी circumstance. And if you remember, he has said that you have to be centered and calm even in the midst of crashing worlds. So धीरे धीरे हम इस एम की तरफ मूव कर रहे हैं, that we, because we get connected to the unchanging truth of our soul, only then and then alone will we be able to be still and calm in the midst of the changing scenario and tragic scenario or exciting scenario of the world. So just imagine your heart as the center of a whole big wheel. आप सोचिए कि बहुत बड़ा व्हील है और जिसका सेंटर आपके अपने हार्ट में है. अब किसी भी व्हील की क्या प्रॉपर्टी होती है कि जब वो मूव करता है तो उसका जो आउटर मोस्ट पार्ट है उस सर्कमफ्रेंस को सबसे ज्यादा मूव करना पड़ता है. जैसे जैसे कि आप स्पोक्स के साथ अंदर सेंटर की तरफ आते जाएंगे, द सेंटर पॉइंट ऑफ द व्हील इज एक्चुअली स्टिल एंड उसके अराउंड मूवमेंट हो रहा है. So this is what is being said here in a sense, is that if you practice being still in your own heart, तो ये जो सारा changing world है, ये जितना मर्जी घूमता रहे, eventually ये stop हो जाएगा आपके लिए. So the practice of Kriya Yoga and meditation and also the practice of Bhakti, Karma and Gyan, they bring you to your own center. Now remember that this whole universe for each one of us begins from our own center. हमसे ही ये दुनिया है, हमारी अवेयरनेस में ये दुनिया, हमें लगता है इस दुनिया में हम हैं, ये हमारा शरीर इस दुनिया में है, इस माइक वर्ल्ड में है, हमारा माइंड एक फैकल्टी है जो इस दुनिया में काम करता है. But we, the soul, are the center of the universe around us. If we, by controlling the senses and by practicing techniques like Kriya Yoga, which withdraw the life current from the senses and bring it to the center, then the world will stop for you And the world will stop for you does not mean that it will become dull for you, it will become boring for you. No, it means that you will rise above the dualities of excitement and pain, pleasure and pain, success and failure. And you will be sthit, you will be stabilized in your own center, your own Atmic self. And this will come by practice. And this will help you to jump out of the large karmic wheel of births, deaths, rebirths, and so on. This is going to be continuous unless you firstly want to stop it, and then you follow all the things that the scriptures say. Patanjali gives us steps how to do this. Yogananda ji gives us steps how to come to our center, how to stop this karmic wheel, how to step away from it. You cannot just leave karma. This is something very interesting that I read somewhere. It says that you cannot just jump off this wheel of birth and rebirth, but by getting the wisdom and understanding of how this machinery works, you can then exit it. And therefore Jnana Yoga. So you use Jnana Yoga, you use bhakti, you use right action, and you use meditation. These are the tools. By using these tools, you understand the workings of the universe, you come to the conclusion of who you are, and then there is no more birth and death for you. So with Abhyasa, we will be settled in our own self. So this is the way. Okay, and some beautiful examples Swamiji has given of daily life. And what are these? Swamiji says, for example, someone you love died. Now think about his or her happiness in being free from the troubling body rather than your own loss. If you do that, you will come to a state of even-mindedness and cheerfulness. Another example that Swamiji gives, it says, you get the news of your own impending death. Suppose somebody develops a disorder in the body and the doctor says that, you know, this is a terminal illness and this, you're not going to last. So firstly, remember, the doctor may say you are not going to last, but the body is not going to last. The body is a mere garment. You are not the body. So what Swamiji says is, cast out every outer attachment, whether to person, to circumstance, possession, or ambition, into flames and watch them disappear joyfully. So यदि ऐसा किसी के साथ होता है कि उनको पता चल जाता है कि उनकी मृत्यु समीप है, तो उसको उसी क्षण से ये शुरू कर देना चाहिए कि उसके जितनी भी अटैचमेंट्स हैं इस दुनिया से, चाहे अपनी कईयों की अटैचमेंट्स अपनी ड्यूटी से होती हैं. वी मस्ट रिमेंबर दैट आवर ड्यूटीज आर गॉड गिवन एंड ही विल टेक केयर ऑफ द वर्ल्ड. इट विल नॉट सफर विद इन योर एब्सेंस. सो आपको जितनी अपनी अटैचमेंट्स है लोगों से, सर्कमस्टांसेस से, अपनी ड्यूटीज से, अपने शरीर से, अपनी पर्सनालिटी से, वो धीरे धीरे आपको मेंटली ही वुड से, यू नो, मेक अ bonfire in the spiritual eye and cast every attachment into that flame and watch it disappear and be happy about it. So that is abhyas. आप अभ्यास कर रहे हैं, आप तैयारी कर रहे हैं उस क्षण की जब आप इस शरीर को छोड़ेंगे. लोग उसको मृत्यु कहते हैं, but हम, we are the power that runs the body. We don't die, only the body will die and we will move on. We will move on into eternal freedom, or if the soul desires, it can move on into other bodies because of karma or because of God's will. Then another example, daily life he gives, he says, someone has cheated you and left you bankrupt. If you are in such a situation, then what do? You surrender to God. You say to God, God, I am yours. It is your job to take care of me. I live only to please you. So unburden yourself. Don't think that you have to do everything on your own. जो गिरिधर दादीधारी हैं, जो कृष्ण हैं, जो भगवान हैं, उनको उठाने दो. अपने शोल्डर्स पे आप पहाड़ मत उठाओ. Surrender, let go and pray. When you pray to God like this and you make him your own, you make him a friend that understands your troubles and you share the sorrows and joys of your heart, then he's anyway willing to help us, and even without our saying, he helps us. But when we add our love and sincerity to it, he is also happy to help. Just like parents are happy to help their children whenever they are in need. Now, another example for businessmen he gives. He says, if your company is going bankrupt, then what do? Do your best. Now, this situation is valid for in different ways. So he says, do your best, but leave the results in God's hands. So he's talking about Nishkam Karma, which is true for every situation. In every situation, in this moment, do what best you can and just leave everything to God. On the other side, he says, if you are given a promotion or an award, then tell yourself that the ups and downs of life are mere waves on the surface of the ocean. Get neither excited or depressed by whatever good or bad occurs to you. All happens by His will. Determined to live in peace, no matter what comes in your life. So these are the daily lessons, the practices that we need to remind ourselves, and we will be able to do them only when we are able to pause for a moment. When we get over the habit of reacting instantly to everything that happens to us. So this is also a practice and abhyas that whatever happens on the outside, someone says something, some situation is changing, something is happening, take a moment to first go within yourself. It just takes a moment to center yourself. Once you are there within yourself, you are paused, you reflect in yourself, and then you respond appropriately rather than reacting. So this is a simple practice that we can start doing right now. As soon as the class finishes and the next person probably comes and says something awkward to you, pause, go within yourself and tell yourself it's all right. That the world runs because of your reactions, and your karma also keeps continuing because of your reactions. If you stop reacting, then eventually जिस तरह से पंखे का स्विच ऑफ करते हैं तो वो धीरे 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 बंद हो जाता है, इसी तरह कर्मा का स्विच जब हम अपनी ईगो से राइज करते हैं और हम ये रियलाइज करते हैं that this is all God's show, it is being run by His will and it is He who is the doer. तो जब हम अपने पर्सनल कर्मा का स्विच बाय सरेंडर, बाय भक्ति, बाय कर्मा ये सब ऑफ कर देते हैं तो धीरे 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 जो पुराना कर्म है वो प्रारब्ध हमारा धीरे धीरे खत्म हो जाता है और फिर जैसे पंखा रुक जाता है वैसे ही हमारा जो कर्म चक्र है और ये बर्थ और रीबर्थ का साइकिल है ये भी रुक जाता है और हम खत्म नहीं होते, हम इटर्नल कॉन्शियसनेस में मर्ज कर जाते हैं, सच्चिदानंद में मर्ज कर जाते हैं और यही इसी को योग स्थिति कहा जाता है, इसी को समाधि कहा जाता है. Okay, this brings us to the next sutra, which is Sutra 14. इसमें पतंजलि कह रहे हैं स तु दीर्घ काल निरंतर्य सत्कार असेवितो. इसका क्या अर्थ है? स तु means स तु दीर्घ काल means for a long period of time. Nirantarya means constant. Satkar means with devotion. Asevito means adhered. And the last word is Drid Bhumi, which I did not say initially. It says strongly based ground. So, what is being said here? Spiritual practice becomes firmly grounded when it is undertaken for a long time, without a break, and with deep earnestness. तो अभी उन्होंने पहले हमें बताया कि हमें अभ्यास करना है, फिर उसके अगले वर्ष में उन्होंने बताया कि ये कॉन्टिन्यूअस एफर्ट होना चाहिए, निरंतर अभ्यास होना चाहिए. अब इन्होंने और भी क्वालिटीज बताई हैं कि हमारी जो प्रैक्टिसेस हैं, डेली प्रैक्टिसेस, स्पिरिचुअल प्रैक्टिसेस, उसमें क्या होना चाहिए क्वालिटीज. इट हैज टू बी अंडरटेकन फॉर अ लॉन्ग टाइम, इट हैज टू बी अंडरटेकन विदाउट अ ब्रेक, and it has to be undertaken with deep devotion, with deep earnestness. तो यदि हम जप कर रहे हैं लेकिन मैकेनिकली करें, हम भगवान का नाम ले रहे हैं, बस राम राम राम, और मन में कुछ और थॉट्स भी साइड में चल रही हैं, तो फिर वो इफेक्टिव नहीं होने वाला है, बिकॉज वहां पे सिंसियरिटी और डिवोशन का लैक है. इसी तरह यदि आप क्रिया योग प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं लेकिन विदाउट डिवोशन कर रहे हैं, सिर्फ उसको मैकेनिकल प्राणायाम बना के कर रहे हैं, then the desired results are not going to come. Of course, you're not going to wait for the results, but even then you should know that without the correct bhav, without the correct earnestness, without the yearning for eternal freedom, for salvation, for God realization, with love, even the practice will not work. So we must practice, we must be regular, we must be sincere, and whatever we do, we must do with love and devotion. Okay, so here another daily life practical thing that Swamiji gives. He says, deep earnestness means that even when you are at the office, or you are conversing with friends, or playing some sport, or at a party, you should always keep revolving at the back of your mind the thought, I am doing this, Lord, as a part of your play. It means nothing to me personally. Whether I win or I lose, whether I enjoy being with a friend or I am excluded by them, whether I am appreciated for my work or I am scolded for it, I am always inwardly at peace with thee. ये सुनने में कठिन लगता है, लेकिन इतना कठिन नहीं है. Many people, and this also includes part of karma yoga practice, which says think of God all the time, think of God before you act, think of God while you act, think of God after you act, because God is the most positive, powerful energy of this universe. So how do we think of God all the time, whether we are in a party or in the office? So here my answer would be, suppose you're working and many a times you're so involved with a work that you have no other thought in the mind. You're so focused. So even that is a state of kaivalya, of ekagrata, that it's a single pointedness. But there are other times in the day when, though you are working, there are layers of thoughts running in your mind. Many layers are running. You're probably, maybe you're writing an email, but probably in the back of your mind, you're thinking, okay, oh, lunch hour is arriving. What am I going to have for lunch? And then also another thought is running in the mind. Oh, I'm going to buy this new car. Which color of car should I buy? And side by side, you're writing an email. So the mind is working in many layers. So that is not chitta vritti nirodha. If you want, even while working, to at least move in the direction of chitta vritti nirodha, then we have to come to ekagrata. यानी कि तो जब ऐसा आप कर रहे हैं, जब आप एब्सेंट माइंडेडली काम कर रहे हैं, तो उसमें कॉन्शियसली आप एक सिंगल थॉट को इनवाइट करें, एंड दैट सिंगल थॉट इज द नेम ऑफ गॉड. सो इन योर माइंड कीप chanting God's name even as you work, and in your bhav is what Swamiji said you must offer. So you're in the various layers of your thought, you are thinking about God, you are telling him that you belong to him, you are telling him this whole world and all these duties and all this work belong to you, and I exist and I work only for you. So ये आपके भाव में है, ये बात आपके थॉट में जो है भगवान का नाम है, और साइड बाय साइड आप काम कर रहे हैं. ये पॉसिबल है क्योंकि हमारा माइंड कई लेयर्स में काम करता है. बट कभी आप ऐसा कार्य कर रहे हो जिसमें ऑलरेडी आपको और कोई थॉट नहीं आ रहा, ओनली वन थिंग इज हैपनिंग, then you don't have to disturb it, you don't have to bring other thoughts. Even God's name is not required in such a state, because you're already in the state of ekagrata and single pointed concentration, which is kaivalya. Okay, some extra points here. Says the sutra says the practice should be for a long time. तो अब ये लॉन्ग टाइम क्या है, मतलब हाउ डू वी डिफाइन अ लॉन्ग टाइम? हर पर्सन के लिए लॉन्ग टाइम फर्क हो सकता है. तो एक स्टोरी मुझे एक सूफी सेंट की याद आ रही है. तो एक सूफी सेंट थे, वो डेजर्ट एरिया में रहते थे, और एक पिलग्रिम था जो उस एरिया में आया, और उसने पर्टिकुलर पिलग्रिमेज स्पॉट के बारे में वो सूफी सेंट से पूछा. तो सूफी सेंट ने कहा कि मैं उस दिशा में जा रहा हूँ, तो आप चलो मेरे साथ, तो फिर मैं आपको बताऊंगा कि कितना टाइम. उसने पूछा कितना टाइम लगेगा मुझे, तो उन्होंने कहा अच्छा मेरे साथ चलना शुरू करो, मैं फिर बाद में बताऊंगा आपको कितना टाइम लगेगा. तो अगले 3-4 घंटे तक वो पर्सन उस सूफी सेंट के साथ चलता रहा. फिर जब 3-4 घंटे हो गए, फिर सूफी सेंट ने उस पिलग्रिम को कहा कि बेटा आपको ना 10 घंटे लगेंगे पहुंचने में. तो वो पिलग्रिम थोड़ा सा कंफ्यूज था कि आप मुझे पहले क्यों नहीं बता सकते थे कि मुझे 10 घंटे लगेंगे, तो पहले क्यों नहीं बोला आपने बात. तो सूफी सेन ने बोला कि मैं इतने पिछले कुछ समय से आपकी स्पीड असेस कर रहा था. जब मुझे समझ में आ गया कि आपकी कितनी स्पीड है, तो ही मैं जान पाया कि आपको कितने घंटे लगेंगे वहां तक पहुंचने में. तो क्योंकि हर जीव की जो स्पीड है वो अलग है, हर जीव की यर्निंग अलग है, हर जीव की प्यास अलग है, हर जीव की अंडरस्टैंडिंग अलग है, हर जीव की जो लव एंड डिवोशन की फेथ है वो भी अलग है। तो ये सारी चीजें डिटरमिन करेंगी कि हम कितनी, हमारे लिए कितना लॉन्ग टाइम लगेगा। तो हमें तो निष्काम कर्मा करना है, हमने ये सोचना ही नहीं है कि हमें कितना समय लगेगा, क्योंकि हमारा काम है निष्काम कर्म करना। स्वामी जी एक बहुत अच्छा एग्जाम्पल देते थे कि सपोज से एक दीवार के अंदर एक नेल घुसा हुआ है और आपने वो नेल निकालना है, आपको पता ही नहीं है कि वो नेल कितना लंबा है, तो आप किसी रिंच से या किसी इंस्ट्रूमेंट से आप उसको पकड़ के खींचते हो, यू कीप पुलिंग एट इट, कीप पुलिंग एट इट, और सडनली when you don't even realize, oh, it comes out, but you don't know the length of the nail inside. So we don't know the depth of our karmic involvement and the things that we need to overcome. The guru knows that. So all we need to do is practice on a moment to moment basis. That is our duty, and that is in our hands. The rest is not in our hands. So we keep doing that, and we do not think about how long a time it is going to take. And this also reminds me of the story of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because I think there was he and many other disciples were sitting in front of a guru, and the guru was kind of calling everybody and saying, you know, that you will be free in one lifetime. To some he said 4 lifetimes, to another he said 2, to some he said 10, and then he called Chaitanya and he said, oh, for you it's going to be so and so millions of lifetimes. So the other disciples were thinking that, you know, oh my God, we thought that he's so advanced. And but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he left the room, and outside the room he started dancing on the porch that, you know, I am going to find God, you know, my guru has said I am going to find God. And everybody is surprised and shocked, and the guru knows the bhav of Chaitanya, and in that instant the guru touches the heart of Chaitanya and Chaitanya goes into samadhi. So the guru was just playing, and he was kind of giving a lesson to the others. Chaitanya was already so evolved as to go into samadhi instantaneously. But here we are being told that we are not to think of the time, because time is anyway a delusion. This moment can be that moment. हमारा काम है सिर्फ इस मोमेंट में फुली प्रेजेंट होना, फुली अपना ड्यूटी निभाना. हमारी ड्यूटी क्या है? टू लव गॉड. फुली जो हमें हमारे जो गुरु गिवन प्रैक्टिसेस हैं उसको सिंसियरली निभाना. हमारा सिर्फ इतना ही काम है, कोई बड़ा काम नहीं है ये. इसको बोझ हम ना समझें, क्योंकि बाकी सब बोझ है. ये वो काम है जो हमें बाकी हर बोझ से बचाने वाला है, हमारे सारे बर्डन्स को ये हटाने वाला है. सो जस्ट be in this moment and ask yourself, what best can I do in this moment which is going to take me towards my own inner freedom. And this only alert, a conscious yogi can do, and not any person who's restless all the time, any person who's just letting life flow just as it is flowing. You have to pause, you have to reflect, and you have to consciously turn the needle of your attention towards these things. And this brings us to Sutra 15. 15th Sutra says, Drishtanu Shravik Vishaya Vitri रणस्य वशीकार संज्ञा वैराग्यम. ये बहुत कठिन शब्द लगते हैं, लेकिन इनका मतलब हम समझने की कोशिश करेंगे. So drashta is that which is seen or perceived. Anushramika means what is heard, and Vishaya is an object. Vritrishna means who has control over desires. Vashikar means mastery. Samagya means consciousness. Vairagya means dispassion. तो इसका meaning क्या है? इसका मतलब है that effort which comes to those who have given up their thirst after objects either seen or heard, and which wills to control the objects is non-attachment. इसको हम अभी और सिंप्लीफाई करेंगे. तो अभी तक अभ्यास की बात की जा रही थी कि अभ्यास एक मार्ग है और किस तरह से उसको करना है, कितनी स्ट्रांगली करना है. अब जो बात हो रही है वो नॉन अटैचमेंट की हो रही है. यहाँ पे है द स्वामी क्रियानंदा सेज, फ्रॉम कॉन्स्टेंट सेल्फ रिमेम्बरेंस देयर कम्स कंप्लीट नॉन अटैचमेंट टू थिंग्स सीन और हर्ड. यानी कि हमें यहाँ पे सेंस कंट्रोल की बात आ रही है। तो कुछ चीजें हम सुनते हैं, कुछ चीजें हम देखते हैं। तो इधर कहा जा रहा है कि यदि आप नॉन अटैचमेंट प्राप्त कर लें सभी हर्ड और सीन थिंग से, तो हमारे को डिजायर और अटैचमेंट कैसे डेवलप होती है कि हमने कोई चीज देखी और हमें बहुत अच्छी लगी और हमने उसकी डिजायर कर ली कि अब तो हमें ये चाहिए, वी आर अटैच टू इट, हम इसको छोड़ नहीं सकते, जब तक इसको प्राप्त नहीं कर लिया तब तक तो हम सुखी हो ही नहीं सकते। तो हमने देख के ऐसा अटैचमेंट डेवलप कर लिया। इसी तरह सुन के किसी ने कहा कि ओ पता है मैं वहां गया था और वो फलानी फलानी जगह तो बहुत अच्छी थी, या वो एक मैंने न्यू कार देखी वो तो बहुत ही अच्छी थी, और आपके मन में एक डिजायर उत्पन्न हो जाती है कि ओहो काश मैं भी वहां जाता या मैं भी ये न्यू कार खरीद सकता। तो अगेन वही थॉट बार बार आती रहती है, आपको धीरे धीरे उस डिजायर से भी अटैचमेंट हो जाती है, एंड देन वो इतनी वृत्तिस क्रिएट करती है आपके अंदर कि आप योग स्थिति से अपने आप दूर हो जाते हैं। सो हियर नॉन अटैचमेंट इज kind of renouncing your desires in a sense. In very brief, we can say it so. Swamiji says, attachments in life arise not only to things seen, but also to those only heard about. Example, when you hear about some tragic news or an exhilarating news on TV, a fluctuation or some feeling, a wave is formed basically in your heart and in your consciousness. अब फिर वही न्यूज आप बार बार सुनते जा रहे हैं, तो वो वृत्ति बार बार एक मूवमेंट ऑफ कॉन्शियसनेस होता जा रहा है, वो वर्लपूल बनता जा रहा है, और वो इतनी स्ट्रांग हो जाती है दैट यू गेट हुक्ड टू द न्यूज, और आप जानना चाहते हैं कि अच्छा इसमें इस पर्सन के साथ क्या हुआ। तो ये एक काइंड ऑफ अजीब सा डिजायर अटैचमेंट कॉम्प्लेक्स आपके अंदर आ जाता है। इसी तरह आप कोई स्टोरी सुनते हैं या कोई लोग जो टीवी के सीरियल्स को एडिक्टेड होते हैं, वो वृत्तिज उनके अंदर इतनी स्ट्रांग आती रहती हैं, वो इमोशंस से अपने इतने अटैच हो जाते हैं कि दे वांट टू नो कि अच्छा अब क्या हुआ, फिर उसके साथ क्या हुआ, फिर उसको कैसा फील हुआ। तो वो उस स्टोरी के अंदर घूम जाते हैं, और वो वृत्ति से फिर निकलने के लिए उनको बहुत मेहनत करनी पड़ती है। एंड एज यू नो, something like TV is like, it is so addicting, and master used to say that TV is Satan in disguise. So all those here who watch a lot of TV, and for that matter these days I would say social media, beware. Why it is satanic? Because it takes away your conscious effort. वो आपको ऐसा म्यूजिक सुनाते हैं टीवी में और ऐसी स्टोरीज में उलझाते हैं कि आप अपने कॉन्शियस एफर्ट, अपनी अवेयरनेस, अलर्टनेस को लूज कर जाते हो, और आप अपने सबकॉन्शियस एब्सेंट माइंडेडनेस में चले जाते हो। और एब्सेंट माइंडेडनेस से कभी भी योग स्थिति नहीं आप अचीव कर सकते हैं। और ये बात आप देखिएगा कि आप टीवी से कई बार इतना हुक्ड हैं कि आप बाथरूम भी नहीं जा रहे हैं, क्योंकि आपको मिस नहीं करना है। इट्स अ ट्रैप। Anything that takes away your inner freedom is a trap. It's a delusion. You think watching the TV will give you happiness, और उसके लिए आप अपनी बॉडी को भी सफर कराते हो, लेकिन know that it's a trap and watch out. So stop having attachments and desires. आगे वो explain करेंगे कि ये कैसे होगा, but in this sutra he is simply saying objects which are desired because of the faculty of vision and because of hearing, you must develop non-attachment to all of them. Another saint says that कि ये non-attachment क्या होती है, तो उसके लिए he says, suppose I am passing through a street and a man comes and snatches or takes away my watch. Now this experience immediately throws my chitta into many waves, and it takes a form of anger or fear, anger, mixed emotions. Now the saint says, allow that not to happen. If you cannot prevent your reaction, you are nothing. And this is an extreme thing. So, but this is the goal actually we are striving for. How to stay calm and centered even in the midst of crashing worlds. इसका ये सिंपल उदाहरण है कि कोई आया और उसने आपसे आपकी वॉच ले ली, या आप कार चला रहे थे, साइड वाली कार ने या बाइक ने आपकी कार ठोक दी, ये हुआ। अब क्या आपका जो चित्त है वो वृत्तिज में चला जाता है, या आप इतने काम एंड सेंटर्ड रहते हो कि आपको कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है? ये वॉच आउट एंड ट्रेन योरसेल्फ। अभ्यास इसीलिए करना है, हमें क्रिया योग प्रैक्टिस करनी है, क्योंकि जो क्रिया योगी होते हैं उनको वाकई जब ऐसा कुछ हो जाता है तो फर्क नहीं पड़ता है। इनफैक्ट इसकी एक स्टोरी हम सब ने सुनी होगी, स्वामी जी की जो स्टोरी है कि जब वो और एक ग्रुप जो है स्कीइंग के लिए जा रहे थे माउंटेन्स में, और वहां स्नो थी और इनकी जो व्हील्स थे कार के उसमें एंटी स्किड मैकेनिज्म नहीं लगा हुआ था। सो इवन दे वर थिंकिंग इन देयर माइंड कि ये थोड़ा रिस्की है, दैट वी शुड टर्न बैक, बट उसी समय में ही उनकी कार जो है वो स्किड कर गई और रोल रोल होके आगे खड़ी हुई एक बस में स्मैश कर गई। Thankfully, no one was injured. Everybody got out of the car, and Swamiji looked at the bus in front. उस बस पे वो डेस्टिनेशन का नाम लिखा था जहां इन सबने जाना था। तो स्वामी जी ने हंसते हुए कहा कि चलो हम इस बस में चलते हैं, ये हमें वहां ले जाएगी जहां हम जाना चाहते हैं। और सब लोग बस में चढ़ गए। और जब बस में वो गए तो फिर वहां पर बैठे एक पैसेंजर ने पूछा कि आप हंस कैसे सकते हो, आपकी कार का इतना क्रैश हो गया, अभी इतनी डैमेज हो गई है। तो स्वामी जी ने कहा कि जब एक हफ्ते बाद ये कार ठीक हो जाएगी तभी भी तो मैं खुश हो जाऊंगा, तो मैं एक हफ्ता वेस्ट क्यों करूं उसके पीछे क्रिब करने में, रोने में, एंजाइटी में, वरी में। व्हाई शुड आई वेस्ट all this time? So he was so calm and centered that in spite of such an incident, he could calmly move ahead with the initial plans in his life. So हमारा यही ये एग्जाम्पल्स हमारे लिए सेट किए जाते हैं ताकि हम इनको एम्यूलेट कर सकें, ताकि हम उस कामनेस की स्टेट पर आ सकें और उस योग स्थिति में पहुंच सकें। With that, my dear friends, we just take a moment to reflect on what we have studied today, and we have said that we need abhyas and we need vairagya. These two important tools will take us into the state of samadhi, into the state of self-realization and God realization with the help of God and Guru's blessings and the techniques given by the Guru. So we now share the blessings that we have received with the entire world, with all souls. Let us pray together. Divine Mother, Thou art omnipresent. Thou art in all thy children. Manifest thy healing presence in all bodies, all minds, and all souls. Oh. 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 Divine Mother, may thy love shine forever on the sanctuary of our devotion, and may we be able to awaken thy love in all hearts. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you, dear friends, and Jai Guru to all. If anybody has a question, a comment, or a thought, we can share that now.
Om Guru. You know, like last thing which you said, if somebody takes away your mobile phone, or that is something you can't even think. Okay, now one is okay, you let go. If somebody he's in more need, he let him take. Second is when you share this with others, with a friend, then they'll think that I've gone crazy. I did not react. I could have pulled him and thrashed him nice and tight there only, but didn't do that. So like what happens in New Zealand, you people must be knowing, if like in a house, if somebody comes, कोई चोर आ गया जैसे घर में, और आप इस कमरे में, उसको पता है आपको चोरी हो रही है, you are not supposed to interfere with them. Let him take whatever he wants to take. That's the rule there. Do not do anything. You can inform the police, whatever, but do not deal with it. Let him take whatever they want. If somebody, so then whatever you claim you want to do, that will come through the insurance claim. That is how they deal with that. It's such a good thing in a way. Earlier to my response, how can, being a Punjabi, we think that we should, get him and wahin pe de dein sab kuch. But now, coming on this path, what a beautiful concept. You don't lose your mind, lose the peace of your mind. Let the the guy take whatever they want to take, because money will come, material thing can come back again, like, but your mental peace gone will, as such, Swami was saying, why should I waste 7 days in cribbing that? Lovely thought. Awesome. Thank
Yes,
you for lovely
definitely.
sharing.
Yes. And suppose somebody takes your mobile. So of course you do the needful. You inform, because these days you do banking also through that. So you do the needful. You inform your banks and you inform
Basics.
the credit card details, and you kind of block it. What is the needful, but you don't cry about it. I mean, again, the next 2-3 days you will get a new phone and you'll be very happy to get a new phone. So why waste 3 days in cribbing and crying? Just do what you have to do with patience, with calmness, and saying, okay, God, maybe that person needed it. See, that person was sent by whom? By God. Remember, especially a devotee must always remember that whatever is happening, maybe you were so attached with your phone that God wanted to break that attachment. So he sent a thief to break it.
There's a lesson in everything.
Yes. And we are here, man. Let us remember, we are here in life to be educated and entertained. If instead of being entertained, we are cribbing and crying, means we are somewhere in problem. We have missed the point of life completely. Things are going to be taken away from us. Not just things, money, people, relationships, they are going to be snatched away from us. This body is going to be snatched away from us. We might as well be prepared by just saying, God, everything is yours anyway. You gave it, you can take it, it's yours. Who am I? I am bliss itself. किसने कहा था कि ये मेरा है? ये तो मैंने सोच लिया था ना, मेरी डिल्यूजनल थॉट थी कि ये शरीर मेरा है, ये लोग मेरे हैं, ये घर मेरा है. एक भी आटम मैंने नहीं बनाया, लेकिन मैंने सोच लिया, पता नहीं क्यों मैंने ये सोच लिया कि ये मेरा है. तो यदि अब हम इस बात का अभ्यास करें कि कुछ भी मेरा नहीं है, भगवान आपका है, आपने जब चाहा दिया, आप जब चाहे ले सकते हो, खुशी खुशी ले सकते हो. Because I live in your protection, I exist because you are, and I love you, and I know that you know all my needs, and I'm yours. That's all.
Yeah, keep sharing. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Jai Guru, everybody.
Om Guru.
Dr. Shikha, as you said, it's very easy to say. Actually, जब situation आती है, then we come to know where do we stand. तब पता चलता है कि वो पेन कैसे. उससे पहले मुझे भी लगता था I'm very spiritual, I can face any situation. जब situation आई तो it shattered me completely.
Absolutely. So it's okay. So you can always tell the Lord that the Lord knows that you are playing a human role in this life. The Lord knows what are the pains of the human heart. But he wants you to give those pains to him. वो तो कह ही नहीं रहे कि खुद ही बर्दाश्त करो, वो तो कहते हैं मुझे दे दो. आप कहो, आप रो, उनके सामने look into the Guru's picture, look into Krishna's eyes and tell him it's all yours. And of course, you can tell them that God, I thought that these are all mine, but I know that these are yours, and help me to overcome this delusional sadness. Help me to overcome. You know how sad I am. Help me to overcome this sadness. I don't feel right. I say this to the Lord. In spite of intellectually knowing everything, and in spite of having reached a level of calmness, I know there are situations when your heart starts to go into a whirlpool. But then I pause into myself, I watch that I am going out of my center, and immediately I will call upon the Guru, I will call upon the Lord, I will surrender myself in that moment, and I find, and maybe I do a deep pranayam. So everything, you use entire thing, सारा toolbox में सब कुछ है, उसका प्रयोग करो और वापस अपने सेंटर पे आ जाओ. तो दुनिया का काम है आपको अपने सेंटर से निकालना. दुख होगा किसी, ये हम कोई नहीं कह रहे यहाँ पे, ये दुख सुख के खेल में भगवान ने डाला है. इवेंचुअली ये सीखेंगे, ये सीखना ही है कि इस दुख सुख से ऊपर कैसे उठना है. जब तक हम दुख को टेस्ट ही नहीं करेंगे तो उससे ऊपर उठने के बाद जो सुख होगा वो कैसे मिलेगा. जब तक आप इस दुनिया के दुख से फेडअप ही नहीं हो जाओगे, तब तक आप उस इटर्नल सुख को खोजोगे ही क्यों. तो दिल का दुखना जरूरी है. जब तक दिल दुखेगा नहीं, आप इस दुख से फ्रीडम पाना ही नहीं चाहोगे. आप ठीक हो, आप मस्त हो अपनी दुनिया में. ये कीचड़ साफ करना नहीं है भगवान ने हमें इस कीचड़ से बाहर निकालना है. तो दुख है तो उसको एक्सेप्ट करो कि हाँ, मेरे जीवन में दुख है, मेरे दिल में दुख है, लेकिन मैं इससे ऊपर उठना चाहता हूँ या चाहती हूँ. गॉड प्लीज हेल्प मी, यू आर माई ओनली रेफ्यूज एंड आई सरेंडर टू यू. ये रोज कहो, फिर देखो कैसे दिल आजाद नहीं होता इस दुख से. होके रहेगा।
Thank you so much. Thank you. I will. Thank you.
जय गुरु। थैंक यू डियर फ्रेंड।